We live in interesting times, and they keep getting interestinger. George Washington died because he ate dinner in wet clothes. Actually, he got sick because he ate dinner in wet clothes. He had been out riding his horse and got caught in a rainstorm and didn't want to be late for dinner. Apparently that was a huge faux pas back then, so he just sat in it. So then he caught a cold, and then the family did pretty much the worst thing you could possibly do in 1799. They called a doctor. You see, doctors back then were pretty much a one-trick pony. The only thing they knew to do was to bleed the patient. Over and over and over again. 'Cause blood. Who needs that? If that happened today, it would just be a simple round of antibiotics and he'd be up and gnashing his wooden teeth in no time. And he'd just be known as that guy who ate his steak in wet drawers. Now, it's easy to mock how primitive their medical understanding was back then, but the fact of the matter is today we live in crazy times. I mean, the world changes more in 10 years now than it did in 100 years back then. I mean, think about it. Kids today can't even imagine a world where they can't have instant information at their fingertips at all times, even though that's only about 10 years old. 10 years out of, 100,000 years of human history. And the truth is, there are things that we do now that will look absolutely insane to people in the future. And I mean in our own lifetimes. Let's start with driving. I predict that in 30 years or so, young people will think it is insane that we actually drive our own cars. No, I'm serious. I mean, think about it. Just 10 years ago, it was absolute science fiction, the idea that a car could sense a collision before you do and hit the brake for you. Today, it's a pretty common safety feature. There's also an increasing number of cars that have sensors that can detect if you're going off the road and steer you back on without you having to do anything. Tesla's new P85D actually takes it a step further by getting rid of cruise control altogether and using what they call autopilot, that can actually guide the car along the highway at cruising speeds, even reading and reacting to street signs. Google's actually been experimenting with self-driving cars for years and have actually logged thousands of hours of driving time with 0 accidents whatsoever. 4 states have already passed laws that allow autonomous cars on the road, and several more states have similar legislation in progress. And now reports are saying that Apple's working on their own version of self-driving car technology, and Uber is even working on an experimental fleet of self-driving cars that they call the transportation cloud. All this has happened in just the last few years. Computers can react way faster than we can, they never get distracted, and as more of them are on the road, they'll be able to communicate with each other to avoid traffic and prevent accidents. It won't take long for it to be abundantly clear that self-driving cars are way better at it than we are. And once that safety record is established, insurance companies are going to start seeing human-driven cars as a huge liability. The cost of insuring human-driven cars is going to go way up, and pretty soon, people are going to find it's a lot cheaper to just buy a new self-driving car. Give that another couple of decades or so, and the young kids won't be able to imagine that we once hurled ourselves down highways at 70 miles an hour with nothing but a wheel to keep us from smashing into each other. Oh my God, what were they thinking? That's crazy. I know, how did anybody survive? And while our medicine has come a long way from bleeding people to death over a common cold, there are some things that we do today that people in the future are going to think are absolutely barbaric. Like the way we deal with cancer. Currently, we have 2 forms of cancer detection. X-rays and just waiting until you get sick. X-rays, of course, pump radiation into your body, and radiation causes cancer. And for many forms of cancer, like say pancreatic cancer, by the time you start to show any symptoms for it, it's kind of too late. So then you have cancer, what do? Well, there's a couple of options. One is just cut it out over and over and over again, taking you apart piece by piece. It's painful, it's disfiguring, and it's hugely traumatic. Or they can just pump you full of poison and hope that it wipes out more of the cancer than it does of you. Yeah. Brutal. But there's some really cool stuff in the works. In a recent TED Talk, Jorge Soto presented this technology that he's working on that can predict cancer far in advance of any symptoms using only a cell phone and a few drops of blood. I'll put the link below, but it basically tests the blood for markers of what's called microRNA, which are these tiny nucleotide chains that the body produces in the very earliest stages of cancer. They made it so that 1 drop of blood can detect several different types of common cancers using just a cell phone. And you'll get results in less than an hour, meaning you can start treating the cancer long before you show any symptoms. And speaking of treatments, recently some doctors were able to successfully treat a terminally ill child using a modified HIV virus. Seriously. If you know anything about viruses, you know that they use human cells to replicate, and it winds up killing the cell in the process. Well, this team has modified an HIV virus so that it will only attack cancer cells. So it seeks out cancer cells and just wipes out the tumor all on its own. Groups are working on nanobots that do the same thing. They lock in on the chemical signatures of cancer cells and then use them to replicate themselves and wipe out tumors in the process without giving anybody a virus. Which means it's very possible that in future decades we'll just take regular blood tests for cancer. And if anything's detected, a simple injection will just wipe it out. It'd be like getting a flu shot. And they're going to look back on what we do now and think we are insane. But hey, if you like things the old-fashioned way, you can always just open up a vein. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like future stuff like I do, share this on Facebook and Twitter. You can follow me at all my social media places below, and if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you loved it, hit subscribe. I got more coming each week. Thanks a lot. You guys have a good week. Love you guys, and don't eat dinner in wet clothes. Just a bad idea.